And I am the VP Policy for the Mississauga Erin Mills Federal Liberal Riding Association. And tonight I have the honor and privilege of being your MC, and I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of our association. Thank you all for joining us in support of our Member of Parliament, Iqra Khalid. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathering here tonight on the traditional lands of the Mississaugas of the New Credit. Tonight, we know it's a challenge for a lot of people with March break, and we're just so glad to see you all. I see a lot of familiar faces. A lot of you I have seen before in Iqra's office or at different events, and I know I've seen a lot of you at her barbecue because, I'm sorry, who else can get almost 4,000 people out in the rain for a barbecue, right? Nobody can do that, just Iqra. I know we also have people coming to support us today from outside of the riding. Welcome, thank you so much for being here. We'd like to recognize the officials we have with us tonight. We have the MP for Streetsville, Harjit Sajjan here tonight. Thank you. We have our public school trustee for wards 9 and 10, Noah Group. And our separate school trustee for wards 9 and 10, Bria Corbett. And we've been joined tonight also by Adam Van Huberden, who's the candidate for Milton. Thank you for coming. So thank you, first of all, tonight to our Riding Association for putting this event together. Pulling together something of this size is not easy, and you have done a wonderful job, and I'm very proud to be on this team. Thank you to the volunteers, all of your running around, setting up, and registration, and helping everyone find their seats tonight has made people feel welcome. It not only makes this event possible, but it also makes it special. Thank you to the Honorable Harjit Sajjan for coming all the way from Vancouver to join us here in Mississauga. We wanted you to feel welcome, so we brought you some rain. And we know how busy your schedule is, so thank you so much for making the time to be here. We're so happy that you're here. We have Tyler Bannon here tonight. Tyler is the president of the Liberal Party in Canada for Ontario, and he has come from Hamilton. And last but never least, thank you to all of you who are here tonight to support Iqra. It is because of you and so many others in our incredible community that Iqra is able to stand up for Mississauga Erin Mills, to support the people who live here and all the work we're all doing. People who know me well have heard me say this often, and I believe it rings true for what we're all doing here tonight. We're strongest when we hold each other up. I first met Iqra in 2015 during the campaign and liked her immediately. Here was this young, smart lawyer who believed in our community and was ready to go to work to help create more opportunities for the people who live here. She knew it would be challenging, and she was ready. In the years since then, she has put her words and values into action, taking on roles as a champion of human rights and equality, while solving problems and lifting people up. And if you've been in her office at the same time, you've probably also seen my children, who basically think she's a superhero. If you ask them what Iqra's job is, they'll tell you. Iqra helps make Canada happen. For the record, I think they have it exactly right. And they have both parts of that exactly right. And how does she do that? How are all Liberals making Canada happen right now? It's simple, because it's true and it's right. Hope and hard work. This is a big country with a diverse set of needs and different ideas about how to meet them. It's no small challenge to look from coast to coast to coast and try to find solutions that will work for everyone. But the Liberal Party recognizes that it's vital that we address the needs of all Canadians and find ways to achieve those solutions together, leaving no one behind. Some might see our differences as something to overcome. The Liberal Party of Canada understands that diversity is our strength, and together we are better. We are strongest when we hold each other up. And we've seen the proof of that over the last 4 years as Canada has grown and prospered under this government and under the leadership of our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. When we look at what's happening around the world, we see a lot of difficult news these days. There's a lot of anger and not enough cooperation. As a global community, we've forgotten that we're supposed to care about each other, and we aren't immune to that here in Canada. But we're lucky here. We have a Prime Minister who genuinely cares about people and who works every day to make sure that Canadians are looked after, and that's a value he carried forward in putting together this team. We benefit from that here in Erin Mills. And tonight we are fortunate to be joined by another incredible member of his team, the Member of Parliament for Vancouver South, the Honourable Harjit Sajjan. I'll give LPCO President Tyler Bannon the honour of introducing Harjit tonight. For those of you who don't know Tyler, he's both a lifelong Liberal and Hamilton resident, and he joins us from there tonight. Like Iqra, he's a lawyer, and he owns his own practice and dedicates himself to serving his community. Tyler, we're so glad to have you here tonight. Tyler Bannon, everyone.
Well, look at this crowd, folks. There's 600 people here tonight. Give everyone a round of applause. Whether it's rain or snow, I know Liberals come out in full force in Mississauga to support our friend Iqra Khalid, and I know you all join me, maybe when the weather gets a tad better, to go knock on doors for Iqra, because she doesn't just need your support tonight financially, which is so important. She's going to also need you to donate these. Your shoes. Maybe running shoes are better, but we need that at the door because we need Iqra. You see the performance she's giving in the House of Commons, serving you in Ottawa. We need another 4 years of her. I also would be remiss before I introduce our guest of honor to say next month, April 12th to 14th, the Liberal Party of Canada, Ontario is hosting their biennial convention right here in Mississauga at the International Convention Centre. It's the first time the Liberal Party of Canada, Ontario is hosting their biennial in Peel Region, and we picked Mississauga. So if you want to sign up, you just have to go to theliberal.ca, register, and you can attend. And it's going to be the last big gathering of federal Liberals from across Ontario before the next election. So we're going to have a lot of special guests. So I hope I see everyone there. Folks, we're in an interesting year. We have an election in October. We need your support to have Justin Trudeau re-elected with a majority government. There's people on the right wing of this country who are trying to bring our Prime Minister down. These people deny climate change. They deny the science. These are people like, the Conservative leader who thinks nothing of showing up at rallies with white nationalists and people who want to close our borders to immigration. As a son of an immigrant, I know why I'm going to be fighting in the fall to make sure Iqra's re-elected, to make sure Adam Vancouverden's elected, and Gagan's re-elected, and Harjit, I probably won't get out to Vancouver South, but I'll be there in spirit and pressuring my friends in BC to get out to support you. Here's a little bit about Minister Sajjan that you don't know. He also immigrated to this country. He is the embodiment of the Canadian dream. He came here when he was 5 years old with his family from India. He worked hard. He had personified hope and hard work. He became a detective on the Vancouver Police Force, which you can read online. There are some pretty cool stories that he has. I'm going to leave it as don't mess with Harjit, okay? I know I have a black belt in karate, and I would not mess with him. He was also a lieutenant colonel with the British Columbia Regiment, serving 3 tours of duty in Afghanistan. That's why he's probably the only cabinet minister in Justin Trudeau's government that has action figures. Colonel, I'm not going to swear, but he had great action figures. Folks, our friend Harjit has done a remarkable job as Minister of National Defence since 2015. He served through very difficult times, and he served with distinction. I want you to put your hands together for the Member of Parliament for Vancouver South, our friend Harjit Sajjan, everybody.
First of all, Tyler, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to speak from the heart because all of you have come here to support Iqra with the bottom of your heart, and sincerely appreciate that. I am not the guest of honor, all of you are. So thank you very much for coming out and supporting Iqra, because this is what we need to do, and I'm going to share my story why. Clap there, absolutely. First of all, the reason I got into politics, as Tyler has talked about, when I came to Canada when I was 5 years old. And And just gonna fast forward a bit of why I got into politics. Actually, why I got into policing, why I got into the military. I wanted to make a difference. People think I got to have 3 careers. No, I only had one. I wanted to make a difference in this world. I wanted to make a difference in my community. And I found 3 different things to do it. And now it's in politics. But one thing, this is something you can't do alone. And I lived by a rule a long time ago, which is to make a difference, you need a good boss and you need a good team. If you have both, you can accomplish this. And we have a phenomenal leader in Justin Trudeau, our Prime Minister, who has a vision, he's got a great heart. And he attracted people from all walks of life to make a difference, and he continues to do so. We have Duggan here as well as a member of Parliament, and I can assure you that the conversations that we have, the impact that Duggan has had as a member of Parliament has been substantial. And we want to expand that team, and really privileged to have Adam here as well as part of this team. We've all watched him on TV as part of the Olympics. I think my wife was extremely excited when he decided to run for the Liberal Party, because we need people with different backgrounds to make a difference. But I'm here to talk about you. And I'm going to share with you a story, but as I talk about the story, I bet you this is your story. So whether you came to Canada 10 years ago or over 100 years ago, we are all immigrants to this land. It's only the indigenous communities across this country who can really call that they were here first. But the rest of us, we are all immigrants. So as Tyler mentioned, I came here when I was 5 years old. And many of you can also attest to this. And talk about, how difficult it was. I had to go berry picking when I was young. My mom used to wake me up at 5 in the morning, and they used to complain. My sister was about 2 years older, and we had to go pick berries, because that's the work that we had when we first came. My dad was working in the sawmills, and he used to complain and complain and complain. And at that time, at a young age, I didn't think about the impact that it was having on my mom and my dad. Where a mother had to, when coming to a brand new country, leaving a country from a small village, coming to a country like this, and the sense of appreciation that this country gave us. But it took hard work. So she would have to wake up her kids at 5 in the morning, get them ready, get our lunch bag made, get stuffed into a van, drive for an hour, and be picking berries all day long and only come back at night. And we complained about ourselves very selfishly at that time. And my dad worked very hard in the sawmills, and this went on for a very long time. So we finally, my sister and I got the education that my parents wanted. My sister was actually a smart one in the family. She's got a master's from Harvard. They're on their 3rd tech company, making a difference in this world. And I'm very privileged that we had this, but at the same time, it was actually my mom and dad that made the difficult choice. Their journey wasn't easy. Working in the fields, to the racism at that time that they had, didn't have a lot of money, but worked very hard. Story sound familiar? Every single one of you knows this story. Because it's not just our story, it's your story. Canada gave us this tremendous opportunity. So that's why I say, whether you came here 10 years ago or over 100 years ago, we're all immigrants to this land. We all love this country. We all want this country to succeed. And this country can't succeed if you don't succeed. And that's the why Justin Trudeau also got into politics, wanted to be the leader of the Liberal Party, eventually to form government. Because Canada cannot be successful if you're not successful. There are people out there creating division, even before the last election. And those divisions create fear. And through that fear, that's not a way to govern. It's to empower people. To give them a plan, to give them a vision to make a difference. So when I was serving in the military, I wanted to jump into politics, and I saw the difficulties that Canada was facing. Now we're talking about knocking on doors, right? So I knocked on a lot of doors, even before I was a politician, as a police officer, right? The community that I grew up in, Vancouver South, that's where I was a police officer. I knocked on a lot of doors. The only difference was that no one could say no when I knocked on doors as a police officer. But as a police officer, I also saw the challenges that our community faces. The challenge is that when you have to go to somebody's house, normally when a police officer shows at your door, it's usually not for a positive thing. And you see the challenges because kids are sometimes getting into trouble making the poor choices. And it's easy to say, oh, have more enforcement. Let's focus on that. But what do we focus on preventing the children from making those choices? What if this child had a better opportunity where the kids, so the parents didn't have to be away because they're working all the time? Imagine what that would have done for the child. So yes, we need safe cities. Yes, we need safe communities. But why don't we do it in a manner to prevent our children from making the choices? And to do so, we need to think creatively. We need to think what the problem is. So we need to make sure that we put the resources in the right hands to make a difference. And so, ladies and gentlemen, when at that time it was Justin talking about making a difference, he was talking about the middle class, right? I immediately took a look at that and said, wait a minute, the middle class, those working hard to join it, those are the people that, as a police officers, families that I was seeing. What if those parents had a greater opportunity to spend more time with their kids? Maybe save some money, take them on a vacation, buy a bike, do whatever it takes, put their kids in sports. That maybe the kid that I had to deal with, the parents, could have actually, they would have made different choices. So when he talked about the middle class, and I met with him, and I said, you know what, I really like what you're saying, but before I jump into politics, I want to make sure what the interpretation that I have in my head is exactly what you're thinking. And we had this conversation. I said, I get it, because when I hear you talking, I think about the families that I visit. And you talk about the vision of what we could do and making sure that parents have tax-free money, making sure that the most vulnerable actually get that money and the choices they can make. I immediately understood. The ripple effect of that decision, if we from government to make it, would have a massive impact. Creating an opportunity for them. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what it's done. The metrics, the independent assessment has shown that. We have lifted 100,000 children out of poverty. The families now have an opportunity to, when they save some money, some people say, in some cases it's a lot, some cases, it may not seem like a lot. I'll give you an example. $200 for our family every single year extra meant that my sister and I could buy a bike. $200 is the difference between taking a little bit of time and going on a vacation with the family. $200 is the difference between getting the choice to join a sport and having a choice to not make those difficult choices. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I guess I became a police officer, but I could have easily been the person that's being arrested as well. Fortunately, my parents had the opportunity. These are the choices that we made. But we persevered, the community succeeded. And every single one of you, I think, has a personal story of struggle where somebody got in your way, but you didn't relent. You knew why you came to Canada. Not just for yourself, but you came for your children. So there was no reason for my sister and I not to succeed because the hard work ethic that my parents had. But hard work alone doesn't do it. You need a government to support you. And that's what our government is doing. Making sure at the same time when we look after the younger generation, let's not forget about saying thank you to our parents and grandparents who actually brought us here. To making sure that they have the right medical benefits, making sure that they have the right enough money in their pensions. That's what we're doing. And at the same time, we know that our economy cannot succeed without a strong economy with small businesses. It's one of the reasons why we lowered the tax rate to 9%. And at the same time, while we make those policy changes, you need to stay united. rather than divide people. It's far too easy to create fear in communities and to get people to say, don't vote for that person, vote for me. It's harder to bring people together with different viewpoints, different backgrounds. But we know if we do, we're better off as a country. I know this personally because I travel the world. I saw conflict when people don't get along, and people who come in and purposely divide. The turmoil that it can create, the anxiety that it creates, the fear that it creates. Because none of us, including myself, I don't want my kids growing up to one day, my daughter or my son, to realize this, to have a racist word said to them and to realize that they know what racism is about. We can't have that. And the only way we're going to have that, if the government continues to bring people together, our multiculturalism works, and here's my theory on it. In a country like ours, we are proud when you come here, proud to celebrate our own culture. In fact, we encourage it, and we need to. Look what happened to the Indigenous community when we try to take away their language, take away their history. Look what happened to that community. And now we're trying to make right from all those mistakes, and it's going to take time. So when we encourage each other, people think that, for example, I wear a turban. I actually started to put a turban on and have long hair when I was 15 years old in Canada, doing the opposite. It was my choice. My parents didn't force me. I'm very proud of who I am. But here's the difference, though, also from other countries. We genuinely want to learn about other cultures. And that's the difference of our multiculturalism. And because we live in a country like this, that's what makes us Canadian. So other nations out there are looking at us and saying, how do you guys make it work? I get to meet with defense ministers from all over the world. I was talking to the defense minister from Germany, and she was talking, this is the time when they took over 1 million refugees. Difficult choice, but they took a leadership position. And I said, how do you make this work? We're trying to learn. And I shared the same story. And I said, by the way, I need to get back to Vancouver because they've got Chinese New Year parade. And she said, I'm wondering about that. You're going to celebrate somebody else's culture? She says, yes. In fact, they celebrate ours as well. And when you come to pick a city in Canada, you don't know who's a tourist and who actually lives here. That's what makes our country great. So when you look at the reason why you're here, you're not just helping Iqra, you're helping yourself. And I mean this sincerely. Myself, Iqra, Guggen, and hopefully Adam, we will only be there as long as you want us. We will always serve you, regardless of where we are. But you are going to decide if we're going to be there or not. This is not just your vote either. The fundraising that you're doing here, and the networks that you need to create. If there was a time in our history, especially in Canada, to come together and make the tough choices, it's now. You got one of the most progressive prime ministers, leaders in the world here. Do you think some other forces like that? Do you think some other nations want a prime minister that's trying to fight for gender equality, fighting for minority rights, trying to fight for the middle class? And who's doing it in a positive way, without getting into negative politics? Just look around the world, what's out there. The rest of the world is looking to us for that leadership. And this is such an important time in our history to make a difference. So don't look to us as any success story, ladies and gentlemen, it's you. You are the success story for Canada. It's because of you that we will continue on the work. As I've always told people, in our own culture, we call it seva, service. I will always do seva to my community. But it's up to you to decide how long you want me here. One thing you'll have with us is that when there's a concern, you know you will be heard And you know that it's also going to be brought up to the right people. We do it every single day, whether it's to the Prime Minister, whether it's to the regular ministers. And by the way, me, I'm talking as a member of Parliament here. I bring up my issues all the time with various ministers, and we're very aggressive about it. And Iqra takes it to a whole new level. But ladies and gentlemen, my story is no different from yours. My success is no different from your success. Now imagine if we create the opportunities for all our children. Imagine what this country can do. Imagine where this country can go. Imagine what the example that we're set for the world. We have something great here, but when something as great as this, it creates fear in people. That's okay. People are going to use negative ways and attack. It's going to happen. It's happened before in the past. But you know how we're going to deal with this? Is we're going to continue to succeed. We don't get angry as much as sometimes it gets us upset. That's okay. We've had plenty of times like that. You've had plenty of times like that. But now when you succeed, and your children succeed, that's the best message you can send. And you want to send a bigger message. You sent Iqra back as a member of Parliament in the next election. You sent Khalid as well. And we're going to have Khalid as well. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your tremendous support. It's a privilege for me to be here. And I look forward to meeting all of you. And let's fundraise and knock on doors and get out to vote. Thank you very much. Listen, you know Iqra from different ways, okay? I know Iqra in the lobby behind in the House of Commons, okay? So when I don't know how many times she came to say, "You're coming to my fundraiser," it wasn't really much of an ask, okay? So all I just said is when. And I'm so happy that the timing worked out. You know, she's able to inspire so many other people, and it's a privilege for me, Iqra, for me to be able to work with you. We know how difficult it is sometimes with the schedule that we all have. But ladies and gentlemen, you are the reason why that we do what we do, and with your support, all of us will be successful. Thank you.
A round of applause for Harjit Sajjan, everybody. You know, as Harj, we like to call him in Parliament as Harj. As Harj was speaking, I thought, all right, you know what, I'm done. I don't need to say anything further than what he has said. We can all go home. But one thing I want all of you to know is how much Harj has sacrificed in order to be with us this afternoon, this evening. Harj has a very young family in Vancouver, and it is March break, and he has been trooping around the country, making sure that we are all united, that we are all connected, and that we all understand the message. So please, another big round of applause for Harj and his family for his sacrifice. Thank you, Harj. Now, Harj briefly mentioned, when I asked him in the lobby once, I said, "Hey Harj, I really want you to come to our fundraiser that we're doing here in Mississauga." And he said to me, he turned around, I had no idea what he was thinking, but he turned around and he said to me, he said, "Iqra, have you ever thought about jumping out of a plane with me?" And I was like, "What?" And he said, "I've done it over 60 times. It's actually quite fun." So now that he's been here at my fundraiser, I think I might have to take him up on jumping out of a plane with him one day. I really want to firstly recognize and appreciate Gagan Sikand, who is my fellow colleague in the House of Commons, Member of Parliament for Mississauga-Streetsville, for being here. Adam McCoverdin, who is the candidate in Milton. Tyler Bannon, who is our president. We like to refer to him as Mr. President. Noka Lakrub, our school board trustee, and Bria Corbett, who is our separate school board trustee. And I want to, at this time, recognize the amazing work that our media do. I know that we have phenomenal media representation that is here in this room. I know that we as politicians or as public servants don't always like you. We know, and the reason that we appreciate you is that you hold us to account, is that you help us to be better. And when you hold us to account, when people like all of you come together and say, Iqra, this is something that is important to us, then we, myself as a public servant, know that we need to take action. And being in a place of decision making, I know that we can together make change, bring change, be progressive. And the media has a huge role to play in that. So can I have a round of applause for our media as well, please? So as I stand before you today, I can't help but remember it was 2015. I was a very youngish candidate, very fresh in politics. I was 29 years old, and I stood before many of you who are here in this room today, and I asked you for your support. I stood before you at a time where Canada had faced 8 consistent deficits. The economy wasn't doing too well. Where we were faced with things like Bill C-24 that created second-class citizenry. Where we stood, where something like the Barbaric Cultural Practices Act was becoming a reality. We stood where youth engagement in politics was at an all-time low. We stood when our representatives did not actually look like us, did not think like us, and didn't really understand what our issues were. I came to Canada when I was 12 years old with my baba and my mama. She's my baby, I call her. She's here somewhere. And my family. I'm just going to give a shout out to my family that is sitting right there. They're my rock and my soft place. Thank you. So I came here in 1998 with my 3 brothers, my mom and dad, and we came here for a better life. My parents packed up their life in order to do better for us. And as we tried to integrate ourselves, as we faced the challenges that I know many of you here in this room have faced, you start to understand what those issues are. As I worked in our family grocery store and I packed you biryani on the weekends as I went through school, through law school, and even while I was working in the city of Mississauga in their legal department, I listened to the issues. I felt them. And so when my baba, it was my baba who asked to ask so many people for support, to not really be sure what it is that we're doing. And all that I was sure stood before you in 2015, facing an election that was a very difficult one, was that I knew what it was like to be a Canadian living in Mississauga, Erin Mills, and I wanted to effectively voice the concerns that our residents in Mississauga, Erin Mills have. That was 2015. Fast forward October, Yes, we won the election. Our Prime Minister rocked that election because of each and every one of you and the support that you provided. Yes, we repealed Bill C-24 and made sure that each and every one of us is equal, that a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. And yes, we created, as of February, 900,000 jobs. Our economy is the best that it's been in 40 years. Our unemployment rate is at a historic low. Our small business is thriving. But as I stand here before you today, asking you again for your support, asking you again to invest in me, to invest in the Liberal Party, to invest in our Prime Minister, I can't help but even ask myself, what is it that we have done over the past 3 years, 3.5 years, and what is it that we will do in the next 4 that makes us worth your investment? Now, I'll tell you a little bit about the work we've done in our riding of Mississauga-Erin Mills. I have this thing where, I feel like I'm everybody's sister, everybody's daughter, everybody's older sister, everybody's aunt, depending on your age, of course. And I make it a point to be very accessible. Whether I'm at the store, I still go to the store for lunch whenever I'm in town. You can walk into our office and see me quite freely for the majority of the time when I'm in town. That accessibility, that exchange of ideas, that push that each and every one of you give me is what motivates me, is what keeps me going to speak to the change that Mississauga-Erin Mills requires, to speak to the life that we want here in our community of Mississauga-Erin Mills. And I remember it was about 1.5 years ago when one of our seniors walked into our office and she said, Iqra, I have not been paid my old age security for the past 10 years. And I'm at a point where I can't continue to live if I don't get this money. My husband is not well. My life is not at the best time. It took us a number of months, but we were able to resolve that issue. We were able to not only get the old age security to be starting to get paid, but we got the back pay, which was about $39,000, which was a phenomenal impact for this family. And it's stories like these. I remember there was an older gentleman who came into our office and he was crying and visibly very distraught and told me that his daughter, he had married off his daughter in Pakistan about 12 years ago and had lost contact with her. 12 years later, she had reached out to him and said, I'm being physically abused, I'm being mentally abused, I want to leave, but I have 4 children and I can't leave them there. I need to bring them with me. And we worked with that family for the past, it took us about 7 months. And when the family finally arrived in Canada, they came and we had tea at our community office. And I could see how happy and ecstatic those children were to be here, to be away, and that hope, that opportunity that was in their eyes. I felt at that time that if I do nothing else, I have made the impact that I need to make to that family. And it's stories like these that continue to drive me and my colleagues and my Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, to continue to work hard for Canadians. Because that is really what we do as members of Parliament. That is really what we do as elected officials. It is to be that effective representation, to be the voice of those that generally don't have a voice. And so when I tabled Motion 103, tackling systemic racism and religious discrimination in our country, the idea was not to make any divisions, and it did not. The idea was to continue to build bridges amongst Canadians and to make sure that we are using and benefiting from each other in how we work together as Canadians. And this is one lesson that I have learned in my life in public service, is that nothing is ever any one person's responsibility. In order to govern a beautiful, wonderful, progressive country like Canada, it requires collaboration. Collaboration between our federal government, our provincial governments, our civil society, grassroots organizations, and individual Canadians like each and every one of you. And when we take that ownership, that is when we bring true change. And a lot of you, many of you, partnered with me on my battle to fight systemic racism and religious discrimination. And with that battle, not only did we achieve $23 million of support for grassroots organizations, providing that capacity building, providing the awareness, providing more and more cultural programming for Canadians, but we achieved those young women in their early teens or late teens or early adulthood who wear the hijab, and they came to me and they said, Iqra, you stood for me, and I know now that I truly belong in this country. And that is what it means for all of us to work together for effective representation. There was a time in 2016 when some of you approached me about issues internationally. And the number one issue that I had been asked about was the Rohingya issue. And in 2016, I had just newly been appointed to the International Human Rights Subcommittee in Ottawa, which is a subcommittee of foreign affairs. And my first order of business, in order to really voice all of your concerns, was to bring forward a motion in our subcommittee to study the plight of the Rohingya. In 2016, we started that study. We worked hard, we provided recommendations to our government, which our government accepted. Millions of dollars of humanitarian aid, our ambassador visiting the areas himself. And then in June of 2017, I, along with our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Chrystia Freeland, an empowered woman, I must say, we met with Aung San Suu Kyi herself to tell her personally how Canadians feel about what is going on in Myanmar. And we continued to keep updated. We continued to press based on all of what you had provided as your feedback as to what I need to do as your representative in Mississauga Erin Mills. The work continued. Just recently, one of my personal favorite accomplishments that I've really had the honor of collaborating with was Muslim Neighbor Nexus. We were able to get $93,000 of funding for security infrastructure for this mosque that is being built in our riding. And it was because we were able to work together and to really effectively push as we need to. Human trafficking is another big concern that is really up and coming in Mississauga and in our country. In fact, Mississauga is one of the biggest hubs of human trafficking in our country, in Canada. And I had meetings with our Peel Regional Police, with our Peel Region service staff, and it was late last year when I put this issue to my Justice Committee in Ottawa, and we talked about how this is an issue that is impacting Canadians. And so we took the committee from Halifax to Montreal, to Toronto, to Edmonton, and to Vancouver to learn what human trafficking looks like in Canada. And I can tell you that the results were devastating. There was a young boy, 9 years old, that I met in Edmonton, who was selling himself on the streets before he was taken in by the city's service organizations. These are really Canadian, really real problems that people like myself, like Gagan, like Harj, we continue to advocate for and try to provide solutions for. So out of that study, we provided recommendations to our Government of Canada, and our budget of 2018 put forward a human trafficking hotline where that gives access to individuals like you to call in when you see suspicious human trafficking incidents. In fact, I'm actually going to UK London next week to meet with UK parliamentarians to talk about the issue of human trafficking and modern slavery in North America and in the Western world as well, and how we can continue to combat that. The point being that it's been a pretty busy 3.5 years. And it's been busy, but it's been empowering. And I think that the best thing that I can do as an elected representative is to empower those around me, is to make sure that the youth that we sacrificed all of our lives for, that we sacrificed, that we came to Canada for, have that equality of opportunity, have that determination, have that passion to follow what they need to follow. And I've been doing that through my amazing youth council who are in the house today, through my amazing women council who are also in the house today, and through all of you and your children and your nephews and your nieces that you bring to me and say, hey, can she volunteer at your office? I love that. I think it is the best experience to really understand, to take ownership of what this country is, of what our home is. And I really appreciate all of the support that you have provided in order for all of us to be successful. 2015, before October, was not a very sunny time. In fact, it was a very cloudy time for people that look like me and like some of you. But I can tell you that March 2019 is definitely a sunny day. Ignore the rain that's outside. It's a sunny day because we have a government that is putting forward the agenda of what we believe in, that is listening to people like myself and Gagan and Harj, that is taking all of our opinions into account when we make policy. And I can tell you, I'm the chair of Women's Caucus in Ottawa, and I probably Harj and Gagan can account for this. Every Wednesday I stand up at the mic and I say the exact same thing. I have 3 priorities. I'd like more support for grassroots organizations who provide support for women, abused women in communities. I'd like a national child care plan, and I would like more support for seniors within our communities. And on International Women's Day, which was just this past Friday, our Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, and our Minister of Women and Gender Equality announced $100 million for grassroots organizations providing support to those women that need it the most. 250 organizations are now able to build more and more capacity, and that, my friends, is providing support for the middle class and for those that are working really hard to join. So I want to turn a little bit from myself and to you. I know I've met some of you when I was a child. I've met some of you when I was going through law school. I've met some of you when I was becoming a candidate for the Liberal Party. I met some of you when I was the candidate for the Liberal Party. I met some of you when I was the elected member of parliament in Mississauga, Erin Mills. And yes, I wave at you too, a shot guy. and I'm going to meet more and more people. And I can tell you today how humbling of an experience it is for me to stand here and for me to talk about what we have been able to accomplish together. For me to talk about what we are going to accomplish in the next few months, in the next few years, for our children, for our children's children. But today as I stand here, I know that it's not your money, it is not your hours and your time, but it is your faith in me that grounds me and humbles me the most. I had a fire in my belly in 2015. I was driven, I was motivated to do more, to be more, to return what this wonderful country has given to me and to my family. And I can safely say that in 2019, that fire in my belly has grown larger, and I will use it, and I will work with each and every one of you to make sure that we paint Mississauga Erin Mills red in 2019, and we will have a majority Liberal government in the next election and years to come. Thank you, each and every one of you. I want to give a huge shout out to Harjit Sajjan for coming out, for sharing your time. You have no idea how much it means to me and to each and every one of the people here in this room. I want to thank our Riding Association of Mississauga Erin Mills for the hard work they did in putting this wonderful event together. You can clap a little bit louder. They did a good job, right? I want to thank the wonderful volunteers that have given tireless efforts to myself, to Mississauga Erin Mills, to the Liberal Party, for making sure that we stay as driven, as determined as ever to bring positive change for Mississauga Erin Mills. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to greeting you and to meeting you and to continuing to work for you in our wonderful riding. And I wish you a wonderful evening, and I look forward to connecting with you. Thank you very, very much, and I think Jill is up next.
Okay, Iqra, thank you so much. Again, thank you all so much for being here tonight. None of this would be possible if we didn't have all of your support. And again, this is to support Iqra, but it really is to support our community, because I've never seen anybody work so hard as this woman right here. And we all know it. We know that Iqra is working hard because we see her everywhere. She shows up for us, and she's going to continue to show up for us, and we're so lucky to have her. So thank you. So this is basically time for closing remarks. Thank you all again for being here with us tonight. We're so grateful for both your time and your support, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon. It is going to be a very busy year, so don't go anywhere. This is just one event, but we want to see you, like Tyler said, we love to have your shoes all summer, and that's to stay as active and involved as you can, and we're so grateful for all of you. Please tonight enjoy the music that we'll be having from the violinist. His name is Sergei Chebernov, and he's fantastic. And dinner is going to be served at your table, so don't go anywhere. If you have any special dietary needs, especially for vegetarian, please tell your server. They will help you. They'll accommodate your needs. Any volunteers who are here tonight, please just come up real quick. We're going to have a picture.